Hi everyone, it's Gail here and welcome to another edition of the Ignite show. So I am here today talking about how to get your boss to do what you want, or how to get anybody to do what you want. I use the boss as a little bit of a hook for that because when we're trying to influence people, our boss is the sort of person that we usually try and say yes to all the time. So how do you get your boss to do what you want rather than the other way around? And I've been doing some training on influencing people this week. So how to influence other people, how to get people to take action. And the sort of focus of that was more on, if you're trying to sell something to people, you're trying to get people to buy something from you or take action from that point of view, what does that look like? So this is like a little bit of a different slant on that, but the principles are the same. The principles are the same because whatever it is you're trying to get somebody to do, whenever you're trying to get somebody to take action, well, you're still trying to get them to do something. Whether you're trying to get them to buy something or you're trying to get them to, give you something else that you want, give you a promotion, for example, then you're still trying to influence people to take action or to do something that you want them to do. So you're getting to try and influence somebody to act or convince or persuade somebody to act. And that's not always easy to do. It's not always easy to convince somebody to do something or to get somebody to take action based on what you want them to do. So I've got 3 things for you. 3 things. See, somebody's watching me live actually. So if you are here watching me live, then do drop me a little comment, say hi or say hello, wave a little hand or something so I know who is on watching me, because so it can be I mentioned them and they dropped off again. That happens quite a lot actually. So say, oh, somebody's on live, who is it? Let me know who you are, say hi, give me a wave, and they're like, oh no. And they zone out again and drop off, but scare them off. I need to stop doing that, scare people off. Anyway, I've got 3 things for you that's going to help you do that. 3 things that will help you influence people to take action. And it could be your boss, it could be a peer, it could be somebody in your team, it could be a stakeholder, it could be a client as well. Sometimes we need to get our clients to do something, or it could be like I was saying, it could be your boss. So here are my 3 things. But the first thing, the overarching thing that I want you to think about is people are emotional beings, right? So we are human beings, we're not human doings. And so that means that first and foremost, how we're being is critical to us. And how we're being comes down to our emotion as well. So we are emotional beings. We are full of energy, and that energy needs to move, it needs to flow. And emotion is a little bit like in coaching, we call emotion energy in motion, because the emotion that we feel is energy, and our energy needs to move. And sometimes, depending on the emotion that we're talking about, we can hang on to emotions, we can get stuck on emotion, we can bury our emotions, we can ignore our emotions, we can step over our emotions. But there's nothing to get away from the fact that whether we do all those things or not, we are emotional beings. We are emotional. It's just part of who we are, part of our DNA. And so I think it's important to remember that as a starting point, that we are emotional beings. Somebody just created an account in my vault. I'm kind of like getting distracted by that. I need to go and have a look and see who that was. Maybe somebody has signed up for my challenge. Maybe, because I've got a little note about that on this live as well. So you can, gosh, I'm getting pinged left, right, and centre from that. We shall see. We shall see who that was. I will go and check that out later. But yeah, so we are emotional people. So always remember that people are emotional, and whenever we're trying to get somebody to do something, whenever we're trying to convince somebody, whenever we're trying to persuade somebody to do something, the more that we can tap into their emotion, the more successful we're likely to be, because people make decisions based on emotion and then they justify them with logic. And I was reading about that when I was doing the prep for the session that I was doing this week. And that is something that I learned from Simon Sinek. So I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, like all his TED Talks and his books. We are actually reading one of his books just now. So I've got 2 of his books on my desk actually at the moment. Let me just under the piles here on my desk. But we've got, so I've already read Start with Why, Simon Sinek. So that's another important thing when you're trying to get people to do something is, you need to start with why, like what's important about it. Because people believe what if people believe what you believe, they will follow you. So that's one of his books. And the one that we have just started to read in my book club just now is this one. So Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last. So I've only just started this. You can see my bookmark is right at the beginning of this one. Interesting. And so I've just opened this up on this quote, and it says, when the people have to manage dangers from inside the organization itself becomes less able to face the dangers from outside. It's talking about safety in organizations and building trust and what it means to build trust in an organization. But anyway, that's nothing to do with what we're talking about right now, but definitely recommend those books. So remember that people are emotional beings. That's really, really important. But the starting point, so the first thing that I want to share with you is people need to know what's in it for them. So whenever you're trying to get somebody to do something, we're quite selfish, whether we admit it or not. We are generally quite selfish, and we're usually invested in, well, why should I do that? What's in it for me? What why? And so again, when I was doing the research for this training that I've been doing this week, there was an article that I came across which had this interesting story in it that I thought I would try and regurgitate. I'm not going to do the article justice, but I will try and regurgitate it here. And the article was basically saying that, I can't remember what the person's name is, somebody, because the thing was, it was a story about a sustainability consultant. And her second name is Greener, and I just thought, God, that's hilarious. She talks about sustainability, and even her name, maybe she hasn't changed by default, I don't know, but even her name is sustainable. So it's, I think it's Catherine Greener, possibly. Doesn't really matter what her name is, but she is a consultant, and she was doing some consultancy at some car manufacturing place, some organization, a car manufacturer. And the car manufacturer, within the car plant, wherever the cars are made, had recycling bins around the factory, let's call it a factory, and these recycling bins were specifically for aluminium cans. So the whole point of these recycling bins was that they needed to be filled up with aluminium cans, and so that all the aluminium cans could be recycled. And so when woman whose name I can't remember, Catherine Greener, I think, definitely Greener, was wandering around the facility, she saw the recycling bins and the sign above the bin saying, I think the sign actually said aluminium cans only. Aluminium cans only, that was what it said. Yeah, she looked in the bin, and the bins were stuffed to the gunnels with everything bar, well, I think there were aluminium cans in there, but there was, fruit, food, paper, everything. So basically people were just chucking whatever they wanted into these bins, despite the fact that they were meant to be, a repository to collect the aluminium cans so that they could be recycled. So the thing that she did, which I thought was really interesting, and it kind of caught my attention, was she changed the sign above the bin. So rather than it being aluminium cans only, and I'm not going to be able to remember this entirely, so I'm going to have to kind of do my best to explain what she said on the sign that she replaced it with, but she took that sign down, she put a new sign up. And the new sign was along the lines of, I'm not going to get this right exactly because there were a few sentences that she put on this sign, but the new sign was basically saying something along the lines of, oh God, I'm not going to be able to remember what it was. Basically along the lines of, what was it? Something about, so something along the lines of the more aluminium we recycle, the cheaper it is, so the more aluminium we recycle, the more we can put that back into the manufacturing of our cars, or the cheaper the engines for the cars are. The cheaper the engines are, then that means we can sell them, more cheaply or more profitably. And so then what that means is that that was it. I decided before I came on live that I was going to tell this story. I should have actually checked what the story was to be able to retell it. But the bottom line was, and so then if we do all of that, it means that we can give you more job security. So it means that we're more secure in being able to sell more. So it means we can sell more cars, and that means that you get job security. So it basically goes from, if you put more aluminium, if you follow the rules and put the aluminium cans in this bucket, when we weave all the way through it and really think about what that means for you, what it means for you is you've got more job security. And as a result of her putting this sign up that I can't articulate very well, she shifted the behavior. So she changed the behavior of the people in the facility. And then all of a sudden, rather than these recycling bins being filled with all and sundry, they were filled only with aluminium cans, which was the behavior they were trying to make happen. The key thing was they changed it from aluminium cans only to, if you put aluminium cans in here, here's what it means for you. Here's what it means for you. And that was the important thing. She took them on the journey of, if you do this, this is what happens, and this is what it means for you. This is what it means for you. That's the important bit. People need to know what is in it for them. And when they know and understand what's in it for them, they're more likely to act. They're also more likely to act when they know and understand the impact. And so, use this a lot in giving feedback. So when I'm teaching about how to give effective feedback, I always say, really think about sharing the impact. Share the impact that the person's behavior has, so they understand why the behavior needs to change. Because people won't act and won't change their behavior unless they know and understand what the impact is. But if they know the impact, you're way more likely to get them to change their behavior than if they don't, and then if you're not sharing that. So that's my first thing. Really think about what's the impact, what's in it for them, and make sure that you're explaining that. And that is the same with anybody that you're trying to influence. So you could use that on your boss as well. So the next thing, right, so you need to be thinking about what's in it for them, but then the next thing is play to their emotion. Because, and again, I got this from Simon Sinek, people make decisions based on emotion. So our decision-making center in our brain is in the middle of our brain. And when people talk about, I just had a gut feeling about it, or it just seemed right, it just felt right. That, the emotional center in our brain, right in the middle of our brain, doesn't have any capacity for language. So it's very difficult for us. So the language center of our brain, I think the language center is at the front of our brain, the emotional bit of our brain is right in the middle. But they're in two different places in our brain. And where we deal and sense our emotions, there's no language capability in there. So it's sometimes really difficult for us to articulate our emotion and to describe how we feel, because it's a feeling, and it's like, well, it's hard for us to name it and put words around it. But there is I was doing some research on this, and there has been a study done that shows when somebody's making a decision, like where the decision making is happening, and the decision making that's happening is not in the frontal lobe where all of our logic happens. It's happening in our subconscious, in the emotional part of our brain. And often our subconscious makes better decisions for us than our own logic. And that's why often when we trust our gut, we usually our gut points us in the right direction. So when we say we're trusting our gut, we don't actually mean, it's not actually our gut that's making the decision, it is our brain. It's just that we have a feeling about it because it's an emotion. So we're making emotionally charged and based decisions. And the study that I read about basically said that, they'd got somebody to go and do something. And I can't remember now the detail of the study, but it basically showed that even though they tried to justify their decision with logic, it was obvious from what the study had done that it was an emotional decision, and the logic that came afterwards, like the two didn't match. So it was obvious that the emotional piece of this was what counted. So the reason that I'm saying that is, if you're trying to get somebody to do something, first of all, you need to be thinking about what's in it for them, but also you need to be thinking about, well, how is it going to make them feel? Right? Because people will make decisions based on how they feel about it and what their emotion is in relation to it. So the more that you can tap into someone's emotion, the more that you can tap into their fears, their dreams, their challenges, their hopes, all of those sorts of things, those are the things that are going to influence people. And they might argue with you till the cows come home and say, no, that was a logical decision that I made. But I would argue that there was an emotional based decision in there somewhere. So really be thinking about, what are the emotions that I need to be tapping into? What are the emotions I need to be speaking about to help me influence this particular person? Like how are they going to feel as a result? Or how do they feel right now? And how can I talk about that so that I can get them into action? Then the last thing is, and this is one that you will hear me talk about a lot because I'm a coach and I ask questions for a living. So questions are the name of the game when it comes to me. So I'm all about asking deeply curious questions and being curious with people. But curiosity is the next big thing, because the more that we can be curious, the more that we can ask questions, the more we draw people in, the more we are able to build trust and rapport with them, which is going to help them to make the decision that we're looking for them to make, or for them to do the thing that we want them to do. Because when you're trying to get somebody to do something, the other things you can think about are, this balancing act between advocacy and inquiry. Advocacy is, let me tell you all the reasons why I think you should do this. I'm going to advocate for you to take certain action. But then it's all about you and it's not about them. Whereas if you can inquire and be curious about something, how do you see it? What matters to you about this? What's important about you to this? Or what's important about that to you in relation to this? The more that you can be curious, the more you are going to draw somebody in and have them really think about what it is that you're trying to get them to do, and be more inclined to do it as a result. So curiosity, when you're trying to get somebody to act, is what would make this work for you? And there's a fantastic, powerful question. If you're trying to get somebody to do something, what would make it work for you? How can I make this palatable? How can I make this easy? Questions like that are going to draw people in and help you to figure out what you need to do to help them, to get them to act and to influence them in a particular way. The more that you know and understand somebody, the more that you understand their emotion, how they're thinking, how they're feeling, what their thoughts are, what their motivators are, what their drivers are, the more you can then tailor what you're trying to do and tailor your ask or tailor whatever it is that you're doing, so you're going to get buy-in. But you need to use questioning skills and be deeply curious about the people around you to help you do that. So that's it. That's what I have for you today. So if you're trying to influence other people, no matter who it is, if it's your boss, if it's a peer, if it's a colleague, if it's somebody that works for you, if it's a friend, if it's a relative, your partner, okay, these are 3 things that are going to help you. So what's in it for them? Be clear what's in it for them. Tap into their emotion, and then be curious. And you maybe actually want to do it in another order. So maybe be curious first and then tap into their emotion, because you need to be curious to know what their emotion is. So I would actually, thinking about it now, do it in a slightly different order. So that is that. So I hope that's helpful. Let me know if it is. Let me know if you're watching this back on replay. Let me know if you have any questions. And the last thing that I want to leave you with is I've put a little link into this video or this live. So if you look at the comments, there's a little link in here where you can come along and join me in my challenge. So if you are looking to be able to influence people, So my 5-day challenge, my free 5-day challenge, is all about how to lead with impact, and it is for primarily results-driven women in tech who want to lead with more impact, influence. There's the influence word: impact, influence, and balance, because those are the things that I focus on. If that's of interest to you, I'd love you to come and join me. We get started on the 15th of March, Monday the 15th of March, with the first task at 6 o'clock in the morning. And we're going to be doing lots of stuff. It's free to join. You get a task to work on every day from me. It takes you about half an hour to do the task. You get to ask me anything you want throughout the week. So there's a Q&A post every day, and I answer all your questions. It takes me, so I'll go through for as long as it takes to get all your questions answered. I answer all your questions in my live stream in the evening. So I go live around about 8 o'clock in the evening every day. And we do that, rinse and repeat, for 5 days. And I take you through things like the vision that you have of the leader that you want to become, and what that looks like for you, and what matters to you about it, and what's important, what are your values. We get into things like the inner critic. How are you self-sabotaging and holding yourself back? What are your strengths, and how are you stepping into them, and what action are you taking that's going to move you forward? So it's a fantastic week. Everybody that joins it loves it. Everybody has a fantastic time, and they always get a huge amount out of it. And you get unlimited access to me all week. You can ask me anything you want. I am in there on a daily basis, championing, challenging, cheering, encouraging, supporting, guiding, doing all of that. And it's super exciting. It's a bit crazy for me because I'm supporting everybody, but it's good fun. And somebody said this to me actually about one of my challenges. We go from strangers to soulmates in 5 days. That's what happens. And you get so much learning from the people that you're doing the challenge with. So all of the stuff that gets shared in the group, all of the stuff that's going on in the group, and the comments that are being shared, the thoughts that are being shared, there's so much learning and aha moments going on from that. It's incredible. So it just always amazes me how powerful an experience is for everybody. So I'd love you to come and join us if that sounds like your kind of thing. And the link is in the notes for this post. So just click on that. You get all the information you need. You can sign up, and then I will see you in the challenge starting on the 15th of March. I'll actually be opening the group. So it's in a private Facebook group. You need to be on Facebook to do the challenge. And we get started. So the challenge starts on the 15th of March, the Monday, but I actually open the group on the Friday before, so Friday the 12th of March. And that's when we start getting to know each other. So we do introductions, we start talking about how we're feeling about the challenge, we share lots of gifts, because I love gifts. And it's great. So I'm really, really looking forward to doing it. Can't wait to get started again. And if it sounds appealing, then do please come and check it out and sign up, because it's free, so you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So hopefully I will see you there. So that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this week's Ignite show, and I will be back again next week. See you soon. Bye.